Introduction. Self-worth, the deep sense of one's own value as a human being, is a universal need that shapes every aspect of our lives. It influences how we think, feel, behave, and relate to others. Although the term self-worth has been explored by many psychologists and philosophers, few have illuminated its foundation as clearly as Abraham Maslow. Maslow's humanistic theory, particularly his hierarchy of needs, provides a powerful framework for understanding how self-worth develops, why it matters, and how it connects to the broader process of self-actualization. Maslow viewed human beings not as bundles of instincts or mere products of conditioning, but as inherently motivated toward growth, meaning, and fulfillment. His psychology, often described as the third force after psychoanalysis and behaviorism, emphasized the positive potential of the human mind. Within this view, self-worth is not a luxury. It is a central psychological necessity that allows a person to live authentically and realize their potential. This essay explores Maslow's conception of human motivation, his ideas about esteem and self-actualization, and how these concepts illuminate the nature and importance of self-worth in both theory and daily life. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, a foundation for understanding self-worth. Abraham Maslow first introduced his hierarchy of needs in the 1940s and 1950s as a model to explain the stages of human motivation. According to Maslow, human needs are organized in a pyramid-like structure, beginning with the most basic physiological requirements, such as food, water, and shelter, and moving upward toward higher psychological and self-fulfillment needs. The 5 traditional levels of this hierarchy are physiological needs, the foundation of survival, food, water, warmth, rest, and health; safety needs, security, stability, and protection from harm; love and belonging needs, relationships, affection, friendship, and social connection; esteem needs, feelings of accomplishment, recognition, and self-respect; self-actualization needs, the drive to realize one's full potential and live with authenticity, creativity, and purpose. Self-worth emerges most strongly at the 4th level, where esteem needs become the primary motivator. Maslow divided esteem needs into 2 categories: esteem from others, respect, recognition, status, and self-esteem, confidence, independence, and self-respect. When these needs are fulfilled, individuals develop a sense of competence and inner worth. When they are frustrated or denied, feelings of inferiority, helplessness, and inadequacy may take root. In Maslow's model, self-worth cannot fully develop if the lower needs remain unmet. A person struggling for safety or belonging often lacks the stability and support necessary to feel worthy. Thus, self-worth is built upon a foundation of psychological security and human connection. It does not appear in isolation, but grows as life's fundamental needs are satisfied. The development of self-worth in Maslow's framework. For Maslow, psychological growth follows a natural progression. As one's basic needs are met, new and higher needs emerge. Self-worth is the bridge between social belonging and self-actualization. In this stage, a person begins to internalize their sense of value, moving from external validation, "Do others like me?" to internal conviction, "I am enough." Maslow emphasized that healthy self-esteem is based not on superiority over others, but on competence, achievement, and authenticity. He distinguished between real self-esteem and pseudo-self-esteem. The former arises from genuine accomplishment and self-acceptance, while the latter depends on external approval, image, or status. In modern terms, this distinction mirrors the difference between self-worth and self-image. Self-worth is stable, grounded in one's being, while self-image is often fragile and dependent on how others see us. Maslow believed that people who base their esteem on superficial factors, such as wealth, appearance, or popularity, remain insecure because their worth is conditional. In contrast, those who build self-worth from authentic personal growth can maintain stability even amid failure or criticism. The role of environment and relationships. Maslow's theory suggests that self-worth does not emerge in isolation. It develops through relationships and environments that nurture trust, acceptance, and recognition. During childhood, this begins with caregivers who provide safety, affection, and encouragement. When a child's efforts are supported rather than criticized, they learn that their worth is not dependent on perfection. Conversely, chronic rejection or neglect can stunt the growth of self-esteem, leading to feelings of unworthiness in adulthood. In adulthood, communities, workplaces, and relationships continue to shape self-worth. Environments that encourage autonomy, creativity, and respect help people feel valued and capable. Maslow's concept of growth motivation, the desire to develop and expand one's potential, flourishes only when people feel psychologically safe and respected. Therefore, self-worth is both an internal and external process. It grows from within, but must be supported from without. In societies where people are valued only for their productivity or social status, many struggle to feel inherently worthy. Maslow's humanistic perspective offers a corrective to this pattern. He believed that genuine self-worth arises from self-understanding, creativity, moral integrity, and connection to something greater than the self. By focusing on personal growth rather than competition, individuals can cultivate a stable, enduring sense of value. The fragility of self-worth in modern society. While Maslow wrote in the mid-20th century, his insights are strikingly relevant today. In a world dominated by social media, competition, and consumerism, self-worth is often tied to external validation. Many people equate their value with numbers, likes, followers, grades, or salaries, rather than intrinsic qualities. This creates what Maslow might call a deficiency culture, where people are motivated not by inner growth, but by the need to prove themselves. Maslow warned that when esteem needs are chronically unmet, individuals may seek substitute gratifications, power, fame, or material wealth to mask inner emptiness. However, these substitutes rarely provide true satisfaction because they reinforce dependence on external approval. The result is what psychologists today describe as contingent self-worth, a fragile sense of value that rises and falls with each success or failure. Maslow's humanistic perspective offers a corrective to this pattern. He believed that genuine self-worth arises from self-understanding, creativity, moral integrity, and connection to something greater than the self. By focusing on personal growth rather than competition, individuals can cultivate a stable, enduring sense of value. Maslow's influence on modern understandings of self-worth. Maslow's ideas laid the groundwork for much of modern positive psychology. Concepts like self-esteem, self-compassion, resilience, and authenticity all trace their lineage to his humanistic framework. Psychologists like Carl Rogers expanded on Maslow's vision, emphasizing unconditional positive regard, the belief that every person deserves respect and acceptance regardless of their flaws. In education, Maslow's theory informs practices that prioritize students' emotional safety and confidence. Teachers who create supportive classrooms help students develop intrinsic motivation and self-worth, leading to better learning outcomes. In therapy, the humanistic approach encourages clients to accept themselves and pursue growth rather than perfection. Even in organizational psychology, Maslow's principles guide leadership models that value employee well-being, autonomy, and recognition. When people feel respected and trusted at work, their performance and creativity flourish. Thus, self-worth is not only a personal virtue, but a social and economic asset. Cultivating self-worth in everyday life. Maslow's theory is not merely descriptive, it is prescriptive. It offers guidance on how individuals can cultivate self-worth in their daily lives. Several key practices align with his ideas. Meeting basic and safety needs. Self-worth cannot thrive in chaos. Ensuring physical well-being and stability is the first step toward inner security. Building authentic relationships. Belonging fosters esteem. Surround yourself with people who see your value and encourage your growth. Pursuing mastery and competence. Engage in activities that develop real skills. Genuine achievement builds confidence and reinforces self-respect. Practicing self-acceptance. Acknowledge your imperfections without self-condemnation. True worth is not earned, it is recognized. Aligning with personal values. Live according to principles that matter to you. Integrity strengthens the link between identity and self-worth. Seeking growth, not approval. Strive for self-actualization by following curiosity, creativity, and purpose rather than social comparison.
These practices transform self-worth from a fragile feeling into a grounded state of being. They reflect Maslow's belief that human beings are naturally oriented toward wholeness when their environment allows it. Critiques and limitations of Maslow's perspective. While Maslow's theory remains influential, it is not without criticism. Some argue that his hierarchy is too rigid and culturally biased. In collectivist cultures, for instance, belonging and community may take precedence over individual esteem or self-actualization. Others note that people sometimes pursue higher needs, like art or justice, even when basic needs remain unmet. However, these critiques do not undermine Maslow's central insight that human beings have layered motivations and that self-worth plays a pivotal role in psychological health. Modern adaptations of the hierarchy view it as more fluid, a set of overlapping needs rather than fixed stages. Even so, Maslow's vision of the self as intrinsically valuable and capable of growth remains profoundly relevant. Conclusion. Abraham Maslow's humanistic psychology places self-worth at the heart of human motivation. Through his hierarchy of needs, he illustrated how feelings of value and competence emerge as essential steps on the journey towards self-actualization. Self-worth, in Maslow's framework, is both the reward of fulfilled esteem needs and the foundation for further growth. It enables individuals to move beyond survival and belonging toward creativity, authenticity, and purpose. In a world that often measures worth by external standards, Maslow reminds us that true self-worth is intrinsic. It arises from the simple fact of being human, capable of growth, and deserving of dignity. His theory calls us to see ourselves not as flawed seekers of approval, but as evolving beings with inherent potential. When people recognize their own worth, they not only change their lives, but contribute to a more compassionate and self-actualized society. Maslow's message endures. The highest expression of human life begins with the simple belief that we are worthy of love, of growth, and of becoming fully ourselves.